We've all been there. You're traveling, you're at a family dinner, or you're out with your friends, and suddenly you're face to face with the breadbasket, all of the delicious carb-loaded meals, sugary desserts, and potentially even the open bar. And you tell yourself that you will just have a little bit, but the next day you wake up wondering why you feel sluggish or bloated or just completely off track, and then you keep it going the next day and the next day, and you one day wake up and ask yourself, what happened? I want to get back on track. And that's why today we are talking about how you can nail your nutrition without feeling restricted, without feeling any guilt, and without letting emotional eating, alcohol, or surprise events derail you from you reaching the goals that you want to reach, living the way that you want to live. And I'm going to walk you through every single step of the process, from when you're leaving your home to checking in with yourself in the midst of those moments, so that you can make the most aligned choices for any season of life, and how to treat yourself without going into this all or nothing type of mindset. And I've got 10 awesome hacks for you today, together with an additional bonus point speaking about how to heal and navigate emotional eating. And the first one that I want to share that has been game-changing to me is understanding nutrition. I have a nutritional guide where I walk people through literally understanding everything they need to know in order to succeed in reaching whatever their specific goals are. And what I did when I first started my fitness journey is I started to understand, firstly, calories. What are the calories my body needs to reach certain goals? The second thing I started to understand was how much protein do I need to reach certain goals. And I think for everyone that has specific goals, when it comes to recompositioning their body, I think doing a little bit of a tracking situation, whether you track everything that you eat inside of whatever app you prefer. MyFitnessPal is a very typical one that a lot of people choose to track all of their meals within, just to get an idea as to what they're eating. Because a lot of us, we don't notice that little bit of dressing that we put on our Caesar salad that we think is very low calorie adds an additional 250 calories. And if we were to be in a 250 calorie deficit every single day, we would lose half a pound per week. Or it could also be that 2 tablespoons of olive oil that we put on the pan that we don't think add anything, also being 250 calories, which again, if we just simply remove that from our diet, we could end up losing half a pound of body weight every single week, which eventually, potentially, if you have a weight loss goal, could get you to your goal weight. There are many other swaps that you can make. And if you follow my YouTube channel or my reels on Instagram or TikTok, you will know that I share so many swaps. And the reason I share these is because the awareness of what it is that we put into our body, both from a nutritional standpoint, but also from a macro standpoint, understanding how those tiny little swaps can make massive changes. We don't have to work harder to achieve our goal. We just have to make smarter choices. So for anyone who doesn't really know what they put into their body, that doesn't really understand macros and nutrition as a whole, they think they know, but they don't potentially actually really know. I think that just 1 month of tracking your food to start would be an awesome way to just gain somewhat of an understanding of nutrition. And my goal for you is not to have to track for the rest of your life. I don't currently track. I just have a general idea as to what is in the different foods that I eat. And I will know on any given day about approximately how much calories I eat and approximately how much protein I'm eating. And the reason I can do that now, simply through like just my eyes looking at the food, is because I used to track. And because I did that for a while now, it just is second nature to me to know what I feel is aligned with my goals and what I feel is not aligned with my goals. And the nutritional guide that I was speaking about is inside of my transformation challenges, which you can find if you click in the link below. I have a membership, and then I also have these challenges running every single month that you get when you're a member, but you can also just try it out and get a single challenge, and you get all of my meal plans, all of my recipes, all of my nutritional guide, my workouts, and journaling challenges, which we're going to get into this self-identity shifting of believing that you are someone who acts in alignment with what it is that you deep down want when it comes to nutrition and all other areas of your life. So if you want to join my community and you want to once and for all really understand this nutrition thing, I know that if you just follow my structure for 1 month, you will be set up for life, because I literally provide every single thing that you would need to succeed. Now, the second thing that I feel is wildly important and something I've seen be highly effective with both myself, but also all of my clients that I work with inside of my community and my one-on-one clients, is that we need to know what our goal is. We need to know what our specific goal is for this season of life. And there are different seasons, so it doesn't need to look like the same goal. Like some people in some seasons of life, like myself, want to have a more gentle approach, more of just a nutritional awareness, on the go approach, an intuitive approach. And for other seasons, maybe we have a goal to lose 10 pounds because we've slowly, little by little, gained weight and we're no longer feeling as energized. We're feeling more sloggy. We're feeling more out of breath. We're feeling like we can't run around with our children, whatever it is. If you're in a season where you're like, I want to lose 10 pounds or I want to lose 20 pounds or however much you want to lose, you may be wanting to step into a season of really honing in on your nutrition and being aware of every single thing that you put into your body and how you work out. And no matter the season you're in, you will only know what you need to do to move forward. That is something you need to do. We're checking in with yourself. And that's why I'm such a big believer in journaling and asking yourself challenging questions so that you can be really brutally honest with yourself as to what you need in this moment. But my second point is the understanding, what are your goals? And I believe in like the big goals, 1 year goals, the 3 month goals, the 10 year goals even, but also hey, I'm going on vacation for 1 week. What are my goals for this vacation? Does it look like I want to continue to stick to my whatever diet approach I've been doing for the past month so that I can stay on track, so that I can continuously make progress? And every time I eat out at a restaurant, I'm going to ask for the dressing on the side and I'm going to eat salads and I'm not going to have alcohol, or I'm going to have max 2 drinks every night, whatever, feels the most aligned to you. Or it could be, the goal of just tonight, I'm going to this event. What is my goal for going to this event? What am I going to want my aligned nutritional approach to look like? Really sitting down with yourself, whether it's looking at your 1 year goal, your 3 month goal, your 1 week goal, your one event goal. Every time you are about to go do something and you're still learning this, because I don't necessarily need to do this anymore because now it's just ingrained in me. It is part of my self-identity that I make aligned nutritional choices. So in the beginning, it does require more of an effort, but just know that with time, it will get easier. So in the beginning, before you go do that thing, before you start living this month, this week, this day, ask yourself, what would living in alignment with my goals right now look like? You can write down your goal and then you can write down, well, tonight, actually, I've been really, really consistent all week. And tonight I'm going to allow myself to eat a slice of pizza and have a salad on the side. Or I'm going to allow myself to go all out and have a burger and ice cream. There's no right or wrong. The only thing that's right is the thing that actually is in alignment with what you want. Yesterday, I was in Universal Studios and I saw a candy shop and I was just like, oh my God, right now I want candy. And it felt aligned because I went in there and I got just a little bit of candy. Like I didn't get a lot. It was just the thing that I was craving in that moment. And I don't eat candy on a day-to-day basis. Like I don't even remember the last time I had candy. And when I go to Denmark, I have candy, but here I don't really eat candy. And yesterday I was just feeling this urge to eat some candy. And so I had a little bit of candy and I enjoyed it because it felt in alignment. And today I woke up and I felt happy about the fact that I had a little bit of candy. And that's also because on a day-to-day basis, I eat such healthy nutrition majority of the time. So when I have a certain day, like yesterday, having fun at Universal Studios in Hollywood, I was like, today I'm going to treat myself with some candy. This is kind of leading into the third point, because the second point was really being clear about your specific goal for this next season of your life. And the third one is preparing before a trip or an event. And something that I could have done, let's say before I went to Universal Studios or before I went to this retreat that I just came back from with my mom in Sedona, where they had buffet every day with different meal options, right? Is that I could prepare before my trip, before the vacation, before the event, before the day trip to Universal, and look at the menus and look at what are the offerings, what are the types of foods that I can eat in the different places. Maybe I could pack some high protein snacks. Maybe I could add my own additional ingredients to add to the meals. When I went on the trip to Sedona with my mom, I brought a protein powder because I wasn't fully sure if I was going to be able to get enough protein. And I did use the protein powder a little bit when I was there. And yesterday, before going to Universal, obviously in a theme park, the typical food, I didn't even have to look it up, but I just knew the typical food that they serve there is like burgers, pizzas, French fries, all the good stuff. And then often I'm always able to find a salad, but I also know that the salads that I can find in places like that are not really filling to me because I do eat a lot of calories. I do need a good amount of food and I need a lot of protein. I want a lot of protein. And so luckily the people I was going with are also very health conscious. And so what we did a workout in the morning and then we went to Whole Foods and I made my own salad. I packed it up with high protein, high veggies, and it was just so good so that I ate that before we went to the theme park. So when I came to the theme park, I was already full, satiated, and when I wanted a little treat, I did have the candy, but I already had made sure that I had gotten in the right amount of protein for my day. And then obviously we ate something on the way back. And we also had a tiny little bit of frozen yogurt. I didn't have a lot, but it was a good little treat as I think it was like 7 p.m. when we had that. So I was starting to crave some actual food. So we had that on our way back from the Universal Studios. But when you're going out to eat or you're going on vacation, you may want to look at what are the restaurants, what are the grocery store options. Like I often, when I travel, I'll look up where's the closest grocery store and can I get the foods that I want while I'm traveling there. And having a grocery store, even if you just have a tiny little fridge in the hotel you're at, it's just so helpful to have some fresh fruits and veggies and protein options that you can grab on the go from the grocery store. And when you go out to eat, potentially you want to look at the menu a little bit beforehand just to have an idea as to what would be the best aligned nutritional choice when I go out to eat. I will say, again, the more you do this, the easier it's going to get. So I don't need to look at the menu beforehand. I will sometimes do it, but it's very rare because I just know that when I look at the menu, I'll know that I'll be able to find a somewhat of an aligned option. And I've been doing this for many, many years. And I'll know a lot of people say, oh, it's so hard because when I go out to eat, then it's hard to eat aligned. But I have been eating out a lot over these years that I've been very health conscious, like keeping my macros pretty consistent. And I am always able to find a solution. Even if, let's say I'm out with friends who are wanting to go to some fast food restaurant, I could maybe be like, hey, that's so totally cool. I'll just like stop by this other store or this other place and grab food for me. And yes, some people are going to think that's weird, but I would rather live in alignment with what I want than what other people will accept me for. But this has happened, I feel like maybe 2 times over the past 7 years. So like, this is not something I do. I'm always able to find food no matter where I'm at that is in alignment. And just little tips is that if you're nice, you can always ask for things to be changed in whatever is offered on the menu or where you're eating. Like you can ask, because Hazel from my community, when we were talking about this inside of our community, which we have Sunday calls every single week, Hazel was sharing how like people, when they have allergies, there's no questions asked. It's like, I don't want nuts in my salad. It could be because the person is allergic to nuts, and because of that, there's no questions asked. And so if you are nice to the waitress and like you're really, being kind, I believe you can ask for whatever you want. You can ask for the dressing on the side. You can ask for no oil in your food. You can ask for no croutons or no nuts, like extra chicken, which is something I often will ask for, just extra protein. If it's fish, I'll ask for extra of that. Or if, let's say, you're someone who's really trying to lean down, if there's potatoes or fries like in your meal, you can even ask for, could I get steamed broccoli on the side instead of the potatoes? This is just a random example, right? But you can be creative with it. And I believe that with anything in life, as long as we're really kind in the way we ask, I've never tried the waiter to not be nice back because I believe that my energy that I put out and like, I'm so grateful, I'm so thankful. I make sure that the waitress knows that it is a hassle, and I'm really, really grateful that they are willing to help me. And I've never had any waitress be rude because I believe my energy that I bring out is so loving and kind and thankful that that's what they give back and are understanding. That being said, someone like me, I do need to eat 2,000 calories plus per day. So today, the way I approach going out to eat is a little different than it was when I, for instance, was in a phase where I needed to lower my body fat or eat fewer calories to reach my goal. And no matter what season you're in and what you're looking to get within your nutrition when you're eating out, you can always just try to ask. And I think you'll be surprised as to how nice people are in that sense. But moving on to point 4, and that is use the protein first rule. I have found in all of the clients and people in my community that I work with, there's also a ton of research behind this, that if you start your day with high protein, you are going to feel so much more satiated throughout the entire day. Your cravings are going to be less. And well, I just feel my day just thrives when I start my day with a high protein meal. And I know this is weird, but this is something I started doing again when I started my bikini prep. And that is I make like turkey with veggies for breakfast. I love it so much. Sometimes there's eggs involved. It's just so good. If you watch my YouTube video, you know what I'm talking about. But starting your day with high protein meals will try it and you'll see. It's also for female hormones. There's studies behind it. Just think of that protein first rule. What could you eat in the morning that would give you a bunch of protein? And just to give you some ideas, Greek yogurt, incredibly high in protein. Eggs mixed with egg whites, incredibly high in protein. Lean turkey, I eat the 99% turkey with the veggies. Chicken, fish may be pushing it when we're talking breakfast, but just things like that can really help set you up for success when it comes to snacking later in the day and just feeling satiated and full and good and energized. And the 5th point is starting your day with balance. So obviously the high protein breakfast is a huge hit in my world, but also if you know that you're going out, like for instance, I was yesterday at Universal, I made sure that the first half of my day, I got in majority of my protein that I would need for the day. And again, I don't track it, but I know what foods have high protein. So when I eat my turkey for breakfast and I had that really high protein salad from Whole Foods before I went to the trip, I knew that I was already on at least 100 grams of protein for the day. And that meant that when I went to the Universal, if I wanted the candy or a little bit of frozen yogurt, then I was fine. I still would get my protein needs hit also because I had some food after the day. So if you are going somewhere where you like a family dinner, let's say, and they're not aware of protein and things like that, just make sure that in the beginning of the day, that's where you eat really high protein. Or maybe you're going out to dinner at night and you know that that meal is going to be really high in calories. Not have it if it's something that you want and you feel like it could be aligned with your goals. But what you could do is just adjust the rest of your day and adjust the meals a little bit so that you still hit your overall macros and you just adjusted the first meals of the day to make it match what you're having at the end of the day. So it's just about playing around with it, being creative and thinking it through. Going back to the 3rd point, which was preparing yourself before your week, before your trip, before your event. I speak a lot about this, preparing before your week with my community members. It's like if everything worked out perfectly this week in terms of, we're just speaking nutrition now, we speak about many areas of life, but in terms of nutrition, what would your nutrition look like this week? And some people say, you know what, it is meal prepping on Sunday so that I have my meals ready to go. Others are like, I don't want to snack after 7 p.m. After 7 p.m., the fridge is closed. There's no right or wrong, but this is something that is so important to just getting clarity with yourself on. What does that look like ideally this coming week for me to feel in alignment and that I will be reaching my goals? The 6th point that I wanted to share with you when it comes to nutrition is mindful indulgence, not the all or nothing mindset. For instance, me having a tiny bit of candy yesterday, like you could have it in my hand here. It was like maybe 7 pieces of candy because it was like you could, you know how you can like sometimes pick yourself how much candy you want. If I had only had the option to buy a whole bag of candy, you know, let's say 100 grams or 200 grams, I maybe wouldn't have bought the whole bag of candy because I would felt bad about like eating 7 pieces and throwing the rest out. But some of you may know that if you buy the whole candy, you're going to eat the whole bag of candy. And for me, I just wanted a little bit. And same when you go out, let's say, maybe it's a birthday party and you tell yourself, you know what, I will have 1 slice of cake. Then when you have that slice of cake, you've already prepared yourself and you don't have 2 slices of cake or 3 slices of cake. Or maybe, you know what, I don't want to get rid of my chocolate every night. So instead of completely saying, I will never have chocolate again in my life, every night you allow yourself 1 square of chocolate, for example. If you're mindful about your indulgence and you check and tune in with yourself in that moment, I believe that it is possible to just have that little bit of whatever it is that you need without going into this all or nothing mindset. And I do believe there are different strategies to work on this. And it can, if you do have an all or nothing approach, it could have to do with emotional eating. It could also have to do with, things from your childhood of like there not being enough food. So when the food is there, you have to eat it all. It could be so many different reasons as to why you can't just have a little bit of it. But that leads me to the next point, which is checking in with your hunger and fullness cues. Because when you are, let's say, at an event and you have one piece of whatever it is that you're craving, let's say Cheetos, maybe you have the Cheeto. You have second Cheeto, you have 5 Cheetos. After 5 Cheetos, maybe you just check in with yourself and ask yourself, am I hungry right now? What does my body actually need? Am I just eating this because it's here? If you're hungry, let's say, maybe there's another option and you can go eat something that is more nutritionally aligned with your goals. And if you're eating it just because it's there, then maybe instead you grab a sparkling water and you drink that. Maybe you're dehydrated. Just like checking in with yourself. I think it's the conscious versus subconscious. If you're consciously eating something because it's what you feel like your body actually needs, that's one thing. But if you are eating it subconsciously and not even paying attention to it, then that's where it's really important to check in with yourself and ask yourself what you actually need. And we will be speaking about the emotional eating point, so we'll get back to that. But my point is that you can enjoy a piece of dessert or a glass of wine or Cheetos. But the difference is, are you having just a little bit to feel satiated from having that treat? Or are you overindulging and just eating everything and anything without the awareness of potentially even enjoying it in the midst of it? And that leads me to the 8th point, which is mastering portion awareness without tracking. And there are different ways to do this. I started off this podcast episode mentioning that it can potentially be a good idea, unless you're someone who's dealt with eating disorders in the past, to start tracking your macros. That can be a very good idea for you to understand the portion size you need in order for you to fuel your body in the way that it needs to be fueled. Or maybe you use the plate division where it's like, okay, I'm going to do half my plate be veggies and I'm going to do a quarter of my plate be lean protein. And then the last part, I'm going to have half fat and half starchy carbs, or whatever your goals are and what you prefer when it comes to eating, which that's like a trial and error thing, right? Like we all have different ways that we enjoy eating, and mine has changed over time. And I believe that yours will also change over time. The more aware we become, the more we experiment and try different things, the more attuned and knowing we will be as to what really works for us. Some people, they go carnivore. Some people, they love being vegans. And, there's no right or wrong. You can get physical, incredible results as well as feel good in your body with all these different types of diets that people apply and enjoy. But you just got to figure out what works for you. Like intermittent fasting works for some people, for others it doesn't. For females, there's hormones involved, that there's different things when it comes to the cycle that are important to be aware of. We actually had this discussion inside of my community this week about intermittent fasting for women. And a good book that I recommended was Fast Like a Girl, I believe is the title. Speaks about how to fast if you're a woman that has a menstrual cycle to not impact your hormones in a negative way. And the 9th point that I wanted to share with you has to do with drinking, both water and also alcohol. I know we're different people in this community, and some people enjoy their alcohol and other people's have completely stopped drinking. And the first thing I'll say is that when you are someone who potentially is trying to lose weight or feel better, feel more energized, and just become more healthy as a whole, drink plenty of water. Your body is made up of majority water, and you will feel a big difference if you're someone who's been neglecting your water intake. Buy a big bottle and make sure to drink it throughout the day, or set a limit as to how much water you want to drink throughout the day. I'm someone who drinks 1 gallon of water. I move a lot. I feel best when I drink water. And I also know that for my clients who have been trying to lose weight, when they start increasing both their protein intake, they have massively incredible results when it comes to that, but also their water intake, because they previously thought that they were hungry. They now realize, wow, I was just thirsty in those moments. And now that I'm drinking enough water, I'm more so eating the amount of calories and macros that my body actually needs in order for it to feel its best. So drink enough water. And if you're someone who does want to drink alcohol, I recommend drinking it with water once again. And also if you're someone who is wanting to lower your weight and be aware of your calorie intake, many of the sugary drinks that you get when you're out can have up to 500, 600 calories. And if you are someone who wants to keep drinking, but you also want to make sure that you hit your macros, your calorie intake, then firstly, you can, adjust in the day leading up to. Maybe you add in an extra little jog or an extra walk, or maybe you decrease your calories just a little bit if you really are someone who wants to hit your calorie intake, or you adjust for the entire week so that you eat a little less calories throughout the entire week so that you have that space to go out on Friday night and drink. But I want to share some alcoholic drinks with you that are a little bit less in calories. One is the vodka soda, which has between 65 to 75 calories, depending on how you make it. Two is the gin and soda. This one also will have about 65 to 70 calories. Same with tequila soda and maybe potentially some lime. And all of the drinks I just mentioned to have that amount of calories would be 1.5 ounces of the alcoholic beverage. Then light beers are typically 90 to 100 calories, and dry white wine, one glass of that will be about 120 calories. Then we have champagne and prosciutto. I hope I'm saying that right. Will have about 85 to 95 calories. And then hard seltzers will also have about 90 to 100 calories. So those are just some options to potentially look for when you're out and drinking. And then the 10th point before we dive into a little bit more of an emotional eating tool approach is have grace with yourself. One meal or one day does not derail your progress. What does though is if you take that one day or that meal as now I messed up, so now I may as well just keep going or give up. No. I, as someone who's been on track for many years and eating healthy, I've had days, meals come up that were not in alignment. But if I had chosen for that to be the time when I gave up, I would have never been consistent. No, it's about waking up the next day, committing to my goals again, making a plan, preparing for what am I going to do moving forward, and learning from what happened. Had I been stressed at work and not checked in with myself, not come home and just reconnected with myself and instead eaten out of a place of stress? Or had I not prepared myself before going out to dinner and just ended up eating all of the nacho chips that were on the table with cheese and fries and whatever else, cake, things that I love, but that my body doesn't really love? How can I learn from what happened so that next time I can set myself up better for success? The key is to always get back to the state of living in alignment with what it is that you want long-term for your life. And I want to say it again, there's no right or wrong. It's about what you want for your life. Now, when it comes to emotional eating, the first thing that I want you to look at, maybe you want to grab a journal and just reflect on this and pause me as I speak, is notice your patterns. Is there a specific pattern when you typically tend to emotionally eat? A lot of us has to do with late in the night. For some people, it's because they come home from work feeling stressed, overwhelmed, and that is the quick fix to make them feel good, is eating whatever sweets or salty deliciousness that is in the pantry. For others, myself included, when I used to binge eat, was loneliness. I felt lonely and I would feel good when I ate my loneliness away. And I isolated myself. Like, this was my own fault. People would reach out and want to hang out with me, but I'd gotten into a pattern that wasn't healthy for me. Do you do it after conflict because you haven't learned to, in that moment of being in that conflict, take care of yourself and understand yourself and tune in to actually dealing with those emotions and feeling them and taking care of them, and instead grabbing food to find that quick fix that let's just feel good again through eating that treat or multiple treats? Is it when you scroll on your phone, so you're just doing it not aware, like just eating everything and anything because you're so numbed out through your phone or whatever you're watching, binging on? First, notice your pattern and write that down. Be brutally honest with yourself. Ooh, and one last one is, could it be because you've been kind of starving all day and then you get to a point where you're so hungry that you just eat anything and everything out of sight, then maybe go back to the basics of what I shared in this podcast episode of making sure you get your protein in first thing in the day and really noticing your hunger cues, becoming more aware. Maybe take a couple of times throughout the day where you set an alarm and you just check in with your body. How do you feel? What do you need? Maybe it's telling you that you need some water. Maybe it's telling you that you're actually slowly starting to feel hunger and that you need food. Maybe you need to bring snacks with you so that you have them around so that you don't forget. Healthy fruit, veggies, protein snacks, nuts, whatever you feel would be aligned with your goals and how you want to feel and what you want to snack on throughout the day. Now, something that I do whenever one of my community members shares with me that they have emotional eating tendencies is we go through this experience together. We live through whatever happens in that moment when they're about to emotionally eat. And I ask them, what would you actually need in that moment? Like when we visualize ourselves being in that moment, we can then from a different perspective ask ourselves, in that moment, what would I actually need? And for some people, it's I need to leave my job and go out on a little 5-minute walk in the afternoon after feeling so overwhelmed the entire day and come back to my desk and keep working just as a little reset. Others, it's just breathe. Some, it's go move my body. Some, it's drink a glass of water. Some, it's take a swim in the ocean. Like there's so many different ways that you can reconnect with yourself and just get out of this thing that we're trying to escape from, right? Because that's really what it is. We're trying to find a quick fix instead of take care of what we actually need in that moment. So if we can look at that experience, that moment from a different perspective, when we're not in the midst of it, but on the other side of it, we can ask ourselves, what do I need next time I'm feeling like that? I'm about to grab that thing from my pantry or my fridge. What do I actually need? And then write that down. So next time you then, this is the next point. It's like when you then start to feel that thing come in and you're about to grab the thing that, well, you're trying to make you feel better in an instant instead of take care of your emotion, you can then become aware because you've already done the preparation for this. Instead of do the thing that you have made a pattern to do, you can change your pattern and do the other thing that you had said would make you feel better, like go for a walk, go move your body, swim in the ocean, drink a cup of water, take a deep breath, meditate, journal. And in that moment, something you can also do if you catch yourself about to grab the food, ask yourself, am I actually hungry right now? Or am I tired or stressed or lonely? Or am I trying to avoid or escape something? And if your answer is one of the last things I mentioned, then you can go do the thing that we spoke about just now. But if you actually are hungry, you should eat. You can ask yourself, what would be the thing that would make me feel best long-term eating right now? And make that delicious meal and then eat mindfully. Like let go of any screens, any distractions, and just be fully present with your meal and enjoy it. I like to thank my food when I eat. I don't always do it, but when I remind myself of it, then I just enjoy the food so much better. And I feel so grateful that it's here to nourish my body and make me feel so good and give me energy for my workouts and for my day at work and for the people who I want to help, and tune in throughout the meal. You know, check in with asking yourself, how am I feeling? Am I starting to feel full? Do I need more fuel? And stop when you feel full. Even if your plate is not fully finished, you can put it away and eat it at another time. But learning to tune in to our bodies. And this also comes to with hunger, like tuning in to learning to understand when you're slowly getting hungry. Because real hunger will build over time and grow and grow and grow hunger. But emotional eating often feels like urgent and craving a certain food. And I've talked about certain type of food. So noticing when your hunger is slowly starting to build so that you will understand when it is that you're hungry, and then also noticing when that quick urgent craving kicks in. And if you are feeling that quick urgent craving kick in, something that is super powerful is setting a 90-second timer and say to yourself, you can have that craving once the timer goes off, because often after 90 seconds, the craving and the urgent need for that food will fade. There are some different science behind this that I've shared on previous episodes, but try it. It can be really powerful. But always, always, always check in with yourself, both when it comes to these 10 tips that I shared in terms of always living in alignment, eating foods that feel aligned with your specific goals, but also if you ever have dealt or deal with emotional eating, tuning in with yourself in the moment, before and after, noticing, maybe even having a food diary of sharing how each meal made you feel. That's a great way to learn to also understand what foods your body feels good after eating and what foods makes your body potentially feel more sluggish or bloating or less energized, more energized. It's a great thing to just check in before, during, after, to set yourself up for success. And it may feel like it will require a lot of effort in the beginning, but I believe that the more we do it, the more it just feels effortless and you don't even have to think about it anymore because it just becomes a part of your self-identity, a part of how you live your life. If you want to join my community, then I will put the link below because we talk about things like this every single week in our calls and every day inside of our community where we chat, and you get all of my programs, both workout, nutrition, viral recipes, all of it, journaling challenges, to really tune in and learn these skills within and develop a next level connection with yourself. And if you found that this podcast episode was useful, I would so appreciate it if you would share it with a friend, subscribe to never miss another episode. And I just hope you go out there and have a beautiful day, a beautiful week. And as always, remember that in order for you to grow, you have to challenge your norm. Bye.